Hello. Um, so somebody asked me to go through the Welt pocket video, but go slower. So I thought I'd go right from the start. So these are my pocket welts. I've got a waistcoat that I'm making in red wool, and it needs 4 exterior pockets. These are my fronts. That's my fronts. They are folded right sides together at the moment. And then these are my pocket welts to go on to be turned into the pockets. So I've stay flexed, which is an iron-on interfacing or stabilizer. A section, not all of it, because I don't want it really heavy with stabilizer, but I just wanted a bit of something, and I've made it so that it, when it's folded, that it at least covers the fold line, just to give it a bit of a Christmas. Okay, so the first step for these, and just so that I just let you know as well, we have 4 pockets, and the bottom 2 are slightly wider than the top 2. Okay, so these are my top ones and these are my bottom ones. Should have them around that way really. So those are my top and they're my bottom. Okay, so the first thing to do is I need to fold them and stitch the ends. So literally just going to take one, fold it right sides together, and using the width of my foot as a guide, I'm just going to machine down the end of that welt. Reverse both ends. Okay, and then do exactly the same on the other end, and then do the same to the other 3. I think even if you're doing this for pleasure, not for, this is my business, so I have to think about doing some things as a production line. But even if you're not doing it for, you're doing it for yourself, you're doing it for a fun project, it is a good idea to do all the same kind of things at the same time. So get all your pocket welts all ready at the same time. Don't do one side, or don't do one at a time. Get them all ready, and then work through the pockets all together as well. So my stitch line is there, and I'm just going to trim off the corner. Okay, and that's just so that when I turn it through, it's just less bulky. Rid of all that rubbish. And then I'm going to take them over to the iron and press them. So what I'm going to do is turn them all through, use my snips to just push those corners so that they're as square as possible, and then press them. So they're my welts all made. Okay, so I've got 2 short ones and 2 longer ones, top, bottom, and I just want to make sure that I've got the side that has got the most stay flex on is going to be my outside. So I'm just going to take one pair, so one top and one bottom pocket, and put it to one side, and put those just by my needle in my machine, because the next step is to mark through my pockets. Okay, so make sure that you've got your fronts lined up nice and straight, and you should have already on the wrong side of your fabric some kind of mark to show that you are doing pockets. Okay, so if I just the reason I've come out a bit is to show you that that is the top of my waistcoat and this is the bottom. Okay, so I'm just going to bring you in a bit closer. I've got a couple of chalk marks there, 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 and there. And the first thing that actually I notice is that if I just do it with a tape measure, and just see that those 2, my top pocket is actually marked further across than my bottom one, and you don't really want that. I'm just going to measure it as well. So that is 5.5, and that is almost 6. So I'm going to just even them up and bring that over to 5.5 as well. Okay. And I'm going to then put pins in. Put a pin in there, in there, pin and pin. And just before I mark it, I'm just going to check to see, yeah, that's okay. I just want to check that because I moved that mark over, I want to make sure that my marks are inside the width of my pocket welt or narrower. Okay, so one's there, and that's absolutely fine. So I'm then going to very carefully lift up one layer of my waistcoat. So on the bottom, I'm just going to lift it up. You should reach the point where you find your pins. Okay, so there and there. You do want to pull the pins out. What you do want to do is just mark with a little tiny dot where those pins are, where they're coming through. Okay, where they're coming through the fabric. And then once you've marked them, you can let them come out. And I'm going to just carry on rolling that up until I get to the marks that are marking where my top pocket is. I'm just going to put a little dot there and there. So it needs to be where the pin is coming through the fabric on both pieces. Okay. And that's my pockets marked. And you can go back and just mark them a bit more clearly if you want to. The other way of doing it is to draw a line across there, and then you could do tailor's tacks to go through so it's nice and even. But this is just, in my opinion, a quicker method and just as accurate. Okay, so then we have both our fronts with their pockets marked in place. Okay, so we have there and there, there and there, there and there, there and there. And I'm going to stick with this one, and I'm going to show you how to do the pockets. Now, if you have if you're doing a waistcoat that has got a top and a bottom pocket, I recommend doing the bottom one first, because otherwise you've got a possibility of sewing that pocket bag in to there, the top pocket bag into the bottom pocket if you're not careful. So just my recommendation, when you do pockets that you've got a top and a bottom, do the bottom one first, do the top one second. The first step is to sew your pocket welt to your waistcoat. Now the reason I just turned that over was because I want the side with more stay flex in to be the outside of my pocket. So I'm putting right sides to right sides. Okay, so because that one will end up doing that. Okay, you have to think about, I've done a video on velvets, you have to think about pile, direction, whether there's stripes or anything, but on wool, on what the fabric I'm using, it doesn't matter. Okay, but I'm thinking about where I place that. I'm looking at my marks, and they are just in from the edge of my pocket welt. So there and there. And I'm kind of lining them up in a way with the edge of the seam allowance inside the welt. So I'm lining up to there. Okay. But it's up to you what you use as a guide. But you just need to know that for doing the other side as well. Okay. Because what I would normally do is mark this one and then mark the other one. So we've got the pocket welt ready. I'm going to pin that one up there, but I'm not going to sew it yet. Okay. And then you want to do it step by step. Oh. So if you want to do it step by step, we are going to line the edge of my pocket welt up to the edge of the foot on my machine. Now on a domestic machine, that might be a bit too wide, so it's about 1/4 inch. And that's sewn my welt on. So it can then do. The next step is to sew the pocket bag onto the top of the pocket welt. So you can use pins if you want to, but I'm just going to do it by holding it. But you will be able to feel where the end of your welt is, and what you don't want to do is go beyond the welt. Okay, so we don't want to machine over here, we want to stop where the edge of the welt is. You should be able to do it by feel, because your welt, even if you're not using a thick wool like this, you should be able to feel it. Okay, so have a quick check once you've sewn it, and I've gone over on that side, that's fine, and this side is fine too. And then I take the other pocket bag and I'm going to machine it on, and I'm going to match, because this pocket welt has got straight sides, I'm going to match where I machine to. Okay, so this is you can come in a little bit if you want to, because what you don't want to do with this is to go beyond the edge of your welt, because then you end up with a hole, especially when you're using a light colour lining like I am with a darker fabric. You don't want to see bits of pocket showing. So we're going to machine, so we've machined that, and then we're going to cut. So you need a sharp pair of scissors or snips, and you're going to cut the middle between those two lines. And all I'm actually cutting is waistcoat. I'm not cutting the welt at all, I'm cutting the waistcoat front. And I've stopped just about 3/4 of an inch, at least, not half an inch, 3/4 of an inch from the end. And then what I do is I snip just the waistcoat up to that stitch line, and the same on the top one. Okay, and then we tuck the lining inside, and then we're almost there. So the next step, give it a press at this stage if you want to. Next step is to, now that's causing me a little bit of concern because it's kind of puckering. So what I'm looking at here is that I haven't stitched all the way up to my stitch line. I've got a little bit to go, so I'm just going to snip in a little bit further, and that will release that bit and make it lay flat. So yes, you can press it here if you want to, or you can just carry on. Get your little triangles to stick out away from the pocket mouth or pocket opening, and if you can, just catch them in as you machine the pocket bag down. And I machine around the pocket bag twice, just to give it a bit of strength. And then the last step, turn your pocket so that the welt is towards you and the bottom of the waistcoat is away from you, and then you're going to machine the ends of the welt to the waistcoat. You can hand sew those bits if you want to, but I always machine them. And there we go, we have a very simple welt pocket. I'm going to carry on and do the other 3 pockets. I won't necessarily talk while I'm doing it, but you can have a watch, and just maybe by watching me do it, it'll become clearer as you go along. So there we go. We have 4 pockets all done. Hopefully by watching the repeat of each pocket helps you understand the stages that you need to follow. Like I said at the beginning, even if you're not doing this as a job and you're just doing it as a hobby or for yourself or whatever, do everything in a methodical way. So do all your pocket. You might have noticed when I did the second pair, I sewed the welts on at the same time. I sewed the pocket bags on at the same time. I then cut the pocket bags and made them. Doing it all at the same time just saves you time, but it also keeps in your mind each stage that what you're doing and making sure that you do the same thing for each one. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, and if you have, then please like and subscribe. And I wish you all the joy of happy sewing. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.